Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear honorable judges, distinguished guests, respected lecturers, and my fellow participants. Good morning. My name is Nessa Salsabila Haunan, the representative from Nursing Unpad, University of Pajajaran, class of 2025. Today, I'd like to begin with a simple yet profound question. Tell me, how do we know that a community has truly recovered from a disaster? Is it when roads are rebuilt? When houses stand once again? Or is it when the people survived, finally believe that their life is worth living? Let me take you back to November 2022 when the devastating earthquake struck Cianjur, West Java, claiming more over than 600 lives. Behind every statistic was a family forever changed, and a survivor carrying wounds that no photograph could ever capture. In the aftermath, a nurse might clean the wound by day, hear her patient crying quietly at night, not because the wound still hurts, but because that patient has lost a child, a home, and a sense of safety. Some of them even felt hopeless. Nurses are there when survivors cry in silence, when children are afraid to sleep indoors, and when families try to continue living while carrying their grief. They see fear, loss, and trauma. In this long, invisible journey of recovery, nurses accompany human beings through the darkest chapters of their life. These untold whispers from Cianjur teach us a truth that resilience is not only a physical reconstruction. For decades, disaster management has been measured through visible achievements. We celebrate the bridges we rebuilt, the houses we reconstructed, but we rarely even ask whether broken hearts have also been restored. The people of Cianjur showed us that true disaster resilience is the psychological social ability of a human being to recover, adapt, and finally find the strength to live again. The science even confirms what many survivors already knew. The World Health Organization says nearly everyone affected by disaster experiences psychological distress, and around 1 in 5 develops a mental health condition, which reminds us of a very important truth that resilience is not only about rebuilding communities, it is about rebuilding the people who live within them. And among all healthcare professionals, no one witnesses that reality more closely than nurses. Official reports may record numbers, but nurses, they witness stories. Yet, despite standing closest to the survivors, nurses remain largely absent from the very place where disaster policy is shaped. It is the decision table. Indonesia has strengthened its legal framework through Law Number 24 of 2007 and the National Disaster Management Agency. Yet nursing perspectives are still missing from the policy planning. Nurses accompany survivors continuously, from emergency response to community recovery, and cite no statistical report can capture. But those who understand survivors the most are often consulted the least. How tragic is that? When nurses are absent from policy discussions, survivors lose more than representation. Nurses bring the voice of survivors into the policy. They remind decision makers that disaster resilience is not only about evacuation routes, shelters, and rebuilt roads. Therefore, if we truly want to rebuild resilient communities, it must begin by listening to the professionals who walk beside them. And then, I believe, this begins with the three commitments: representation, mandatory nursing representatives in every BNPB and BPBD disaster committee. Then, recognition, psychosocial assessment as a compulsory indicator in Indonesia's official post-disaster, as we know as the G2 PASNA. And the last one is reinforcement, mandatory disaster mental health certification for every nurses, enforcing the nationwide. With these three, governments should formally require nursing representation in every provincial disaster committee, and national recovery indicators should measure psychosocial recovery, not only infrastructure, because no disaster policy should be made without the voice of nurses. Now, let us imagine opening tomorrow's disaster report. Now, they're not only telling us how many bridges, rebuilt. But how many children? Finally, they smiled again. Ladies and gentlemen, in a country as disaster-prone as Indonesia, another disaster will come. Then let us remember the whisper from Cianjur. They tell us that recovery is more than reconstruction. It is helping another human being believe in tomorrow again. And that is precisely what nurses do. They deserve not only a place in disaster response, but also a voice at the decision table. And no voice understand the journey from survivor to resilience better than nurses. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for my speech. I hope everyone learns something new from it and enjoys it. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.